The discovery in the void. Captain Marcus Webb never expected to find survivors drifting in the dead zone between star systems. The user Eisen was on a routine supply run to the outer colonies when his scanner operator, Lieutenant Kim Park, detected the faint energy signature of a failing life support pod. "Captain, we've got something on long-range sensors," Park announced, her voice cutting through the steady hum of the bridge. "It's small, barely registering, could be debris, but the power readings suggest life support systems." Marcus leaned forward in his command chair, studying the tactical display. The object was tiny compared to their massive cargo hauler, no bigger than an escape pod. Out here, 3 days from the nearest inhabited system, finding anyone alive would be nothing short of miraculous. "Plot an intercept course," Marcus ordered, "slow and steady. If there's someone alive in there, they've been through enough." The Horizon's engines thrummed as they adjusted trajectory through the viewports. The endless stars wheeled slowly as they turned toward the mysterious signal. Marcus had been hauling supplies between human colonies for 15 years, but something about this felt different. As they drew closer, the pod's condition became clear. Its hull was scorched and pitted, clearly damaged by some kind of energy weapon. Sections of the outer plating had been torn away, exposing the delicate internal systems to the harsh vacuum of space. Whatever had happened here, it hadn't been an accident. "Life signs are weak but stable," reported Dr. James Hendricks from the medical bay over the comm. "Two beings, different physiologies, one adult, one juvenile. They're in some kind of hibernation state, probably to conserve oxygen." Marcus felt his chest tighten. A parent and child, alone in the void, barely clinging to life. He'd seen enough tragedy in the outer systems to know how quickly hope could turn to despair. But he'd also seen how far humans would go to help those in need. "Bring them aboard," he commanded. "Emergency medical protocols. I want them in the med bay the moment that pod touches our deck." The rescue operation took 40 minutes. The pod's docking mechanisms were damaged, forcing Chief Engineer Rita Santos to manually override the bay doors and use the ship's mechanical arms to guide it inside. As the atmosphere stabilized and pressure equalized, the crew gathered around the small, battered vessel. When the pod's hatch finally opened with a hiss of escaping air, Marcus got his first look at their passengers. The adult was tall and slender, with pale blue skin marked by intricate silver patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Her child, barely reaching Marcus's waist, possessed the same ethereal beauty, but with eyes that held far too much knowledge for someone so young. Both were unconscious, their breathing shallow but regular. They wore simple gray clothing that spoke of functionality over fashion, and Marcus noticed the child clutched a small device in her tiny hands. "Get them to medical," Marcus said quietly, "and prepare quarters. They're going to need time to recover." First contact and broken trust. Alien woman woke 3 days later, her large violet eyes snapping open with the alertness of someone accustomed to danger. Dr. Hendricks was checking her vital signs when she suddenly sat up, moving faster than seemed possible for someone who'd been comatose. "Where is Kira?" she asked in perfect English, though her accent was unlike anything Marcus had heard. "Where's my daughter?" "She's safe," Dr. Hendricks assured her, raising his hands peacefully. "In the next room, still recovering. You've both been through quite an ordeal." The woman's gaze darted around the medical bay, taking in the human technology, the unfamiliar symbols on the displays, the gentle hum of life support systems. When Captain Webb entered, she immediately shifted into a defensive posture despite her obvious weakness. "I am Zara of the Kepler migration," she said formally. "We were traveling to the sanctuary worlds when our transport was attacked. The captain promised us safe passage in exchange for our life savings, then ejected us when pirates approached." Marcus felt anger flare in his chest. He'd heard stories of unscrupulous smugglers taking advantage of refugees, but seeing the result firsthand made his blood boil. "The pirates wanted to sell us," Zara replied, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "My people have certain abilities that are valued in the slave markets, my daughter especially." As if summoned by her mother's words, young Kira appeared in the doorway, moving with the same fluid grace as her mother. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old in human terms, but her eyes held depths that made Marcus uncomfortable. Without speaking, she moved to her mother's side and took her hand, the device she carries. Dr. Hendricks said quietly to Marcus, "It's not a toy. My scanners show it contains what looks like star charts and technical specifications, advanced ones." Zara noticed their whispered conversation and pulled her daughter closer. "She has done nothing wrong. We only want to find peace, somewhere safe to live without fear." "You'll find it here," Marcus said firmly. "No one on my ship trades in lives. You're under the protection of the Terran Merchant Marine now." Over the following days, as Zara and Kira grew stronger, their story emerged in fragments. Their people, the Kithara, had been nomads for generations after their homeworld was destroyed in an ancient war. They possessed natural abilities to interface with technology, making them valuable but vulnerable. Various factions throughout the galaxy sought to exploit these gifts. Kira, despite her age, could apparently communicate with ship systems in ways that amazed even Chief Engineer Santos. She would place her small hands on control panels and somehow convince malfunctioning equipment to work properly again. It wasn't magic, but it was close enough to make the crew nervous. "She's not doing anything harmful," Zara insisted when Marcus expressed concern. "She simply understands the language of machines. On our home world, such gifts were celebrated. Here, they make us targets." Marcus watched the child help Santos repair a faulty power coupling, her small fingers dancing over the circuitry with impossible precision. The engineer's expression shifted from skepticism to wonder as systems that had been problematic for months suddenly functioned perfectly. "This changes things," Marcus told Zara privately. "If word gets out about what she can do, more hunters will come." Zara finished. "More people who see her as a tool rather than a child. This is why we sought the sanctuary worlds, where such differences are protected." Marcus made his decision then, though he knew it would complicate everything. "Then that's where we're going." The hunters' pursuit's first sign of trouble came 2 weeks into their journey toward the sanctuary worlds. Lieutenant Park detected multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace behind them, their energy signatures matching known pirate configurations. 6 vessels, she reported, her voice tight with tension. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, demanding we prepare for boarding." Marcus stood at the center of the bridge, watching the tactical display as the hostile ships arranged themselves in an attack formation. The Horizon was a cargo hauler, not a warship. Against 6 armed vessels, they wouldn't last 5 minutes. In a straight fight, "Incoming transmission," Communications Officer Dale Morrison announced. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a scarred human face with cybernetic implants replacing his left eye and jaw. Captain Voss Kruger of the pirate vessel Bone Ripper had a reputation that preceded him across 3 star systems. Well, Kruger said, his voice distorted by his mechanical vocal cords. "Marcus Webb, the Boy Scout of the shipping lanes. Heard you picked up some valuable cargo a few weeks back." "Kithara, if my sources are correct." Marcus kept his expression neutral. "I don't know what you're talking about, Kruger. We're carrying agricultural supplies to Kepler Station." "Come now, Marcus. My employer is very interested in acquiring a certain mother and child, willing to pay handsomely for their safe delivery. Much more than whatever the Merchant Marine pays you to haul vegetables." Behind Marcus, he could hear the bridge crew working quietly to prepare for the worst. Chief Santos was rerouting power to the shields, while Park plotted escape vectors. They all knew the odds, but no one voiced the obvious truth that they were vastly outgunned. "Even if I had passengers matching that description," Marcus said carefully, "I wouldn't hand them over to scum like you." Kruger's laugh was like grinding metal, admirable, but stupid. "My employer has been tracking the energy signature from their escape pod. We know they're aboard your ship. Make this easy on yourself, Webb. Hand them over, and we'll let you and your crew live." The transmission cut out, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Marcus turned to his crew, seeing fear mixed with determination in their faces. These people had signed up to haul cargo, not fight pirates, but he knew they wouldn't abandon innocent refugees. "Options?" he asked. "We could try to run," Park suggested, "but they're faster than us. We might reach the edge of the system before they catch up. Weapons? Marcus looked to his tactical officer. Defensive systems only, sir. Point defense lasers. For debris, nothing that could scratch their armor. Down in their guest quarters, Zara and Kira had undoubtedly heard the announcement. Marcus had promised them protection, but he was beginning to realize the scope of what that meant. Protecting the refugees wasn't just about providing food and shelter. It was about standing between them and everyone who would exploit them. The pirates began their approach, taking their time. They knew the horizon couldn't escape, so they were savoring the moment. Marcus made a ship-wide announcement. All hands, this is the captain. We have hostile vessels demanding we surrender our passengers. I want everyone to know we don't negotiate with pirates, and we don't abandon people under our protection. I won't lie to you about our chances, but I will tell you this: whatever happens next, we do the right thing. As the pirates closed in, young Kira appeared on the bridge with her mother. She walked directly to the main computer console and placed her small hands on the interface panel. I can help, she said simply, her child's voice carrying adult resolve. Let me talk to the ship. The Horizon systems began to hum with new energy as Kira's abilities merged with human engineering. Whatever was about to happen, Marcus realized they were no longer facing it alone. The battle for freedom transformation of the UES Horizon began subtly. First, the lights on the bridge grew steadier, losing their occasional flicker. Then the engine vibrations smoothed out, becoming almost musical in their rhythm. Chief Santos stared at her engineering displays in amazement as systems she'd been nursing along for months suddenly showed optimal performance levels. Captain, she called out over the comm, I'm reading power efficiency at 147% of normal. That's not possible with our current reactor output. Kira remained connected to the ship's main computer, her small form dwarfed by the massive console. Her eyes had taken on a faint luminescence, and her silver markings seemed to pulse in harmony with the ship's systems. Zara stood behind her daughter, one protective hand on the child's shoulder. She's not just fixing systems, Zara explained to Marcus. She's helping the ship remember what it was designed to do before years of wear and compromise limited its potential. The pirate ships had closed to within weapons range, their captains confident they faced helpless prey. Kruger's voice crackled over the calm again. Last chance, Webb. Surrender the Kithara, or we start shooting. Marcus looked around his bridge. His crew met his gaze with steady determination. Park had her hands on the navigation controls, ready for whatever desperate maneuver he might order. Morrison was monitoring all frequencies, looking for any advantage. Even Dr. Hendricks had appeared, carrying an emergency medical kit in case the worst happened. Mr. Morrison, Marcus said quietly, open a channel to the pirate fleet. Channel open, sir. Marcus stepped forward, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd spent years in the void between stars. This is Captain Marcus Webb of the UES Horizon. I have two refugees under my protection, and I'll die before I hand them over to slavers. If you want them, you'll have to go through my ship and my crew. Kruger's response was immediate. So be it. All ships, open fire. The space around the horizon erupted in weapons fire. Plasma bolts and laser beams converged on the cargo hauler from 6 different angles. But instead of the expected devastation, something extraordinary happened. Kira's connection to the ship had done more than optimize existing systems. The horizon's shields flared to life with impossible strength, deflecting attacks that should have vaporized the hull. Point defense systems that had been designed to handle small debris suddenly tracked and intercepted incoming missiles with pinpoint accuracy. Impossible, Park whispered, watching the tactical display. Our shields are holding at full strength despite continuous bombardment. But the most remarkable change was in the ship's movement. The lumbering cargo hauler began to dance between the pirate vessels with grace that defied its size and design. Kira's understanding of machine consciousness had awakened something in the Horizon's navigation systems, allowing it to move like a living thing rather than a mechanical construct. The pirates, initially confident in their numerical superiority, found themselves confused and increasingly desperate. Their target kept slipping away from concentrated fire, appearing where it shouldn't be able to go, surviving damage that should have been fatal. How are they doing this? Kruger screamed over the open channel. It's just a cargo hauler. Marcus allowed himself a slight smile. You're not fighting just a ship, Kruger. You're fighting the human spirit, and we don't give up easily. The battle continued for another hour, but the outcome was becoming clear. The pirates' weapons were designed to overwhelm weak defensive systems quickly. Against shields that somehow drew power from the ship's very soul, they were burning through ammunition without achieving significant damage. One by one, the pirate vessels began to withdraw. Their captains had realized they were facing something beyond their understanding, and profit meant nothing if you didn't survive to spend it. Kruger's ship was the last to retreat, but not before he delivered a final threat. This isn't over, Webb. My employer has deep pockets and a long memory. We'll be back. As the hostile ships disappeared into hyperspace, the Horizon systems gradually returned to normal operation. Kira swayed as she disconnected from the computer, and her mother caught her before she could fall. She'll be fine, Zara assured Marcus. She just needs rest. Connecting so deeply with a system this large is exhausting. Marcus knelt beside the child, who looked up at him with tired but proud eyes. Thank you, he said simply. You saved us all. Kira smiled, a gesture that seemed to light up the entire bridge. You saved us first. We just returned the favor. A new home among the stars. 3 months later, the UES Horizon approached Sanctuary Station, a massive orbital habitat built around humanitarian principles rather than profit margins. The station existed in neutral space, protected by treaties that prevented any single government or corporation from claiming jurisdiction over refugees seeking asylum. Marcus stood on the bridge watching the station grow larger on the view screen. It was beautiful in its diversity, sections built by different species, each contributing their own architectural philosophy to the whole. Gardens spiraled around the outer rings, providing both oxygen and psychological comfort to inhabitants who might never again see their homeworlds. Zara and Kira had spent the journey learning about human culture while sharing their own knowledge and abilities. The ship's systems had never run better, and several crew members had discovered they had unexpected aptitudes for working with Kithara-enhanced technology. Sanctuary Station Control to UES Horizon. Came the welcome transmission. You are cleared for docking at Humanitarian Bay 7. We have housing prepared for your passengers. Dr. Hendricks had compiled a full medical report on Kithara physiology, information that would help the station's diverse medical staff care for others of their species who might arrive in the future. Chief Santos had documented the technical improvements Kira had made, creating a manual that could help other ships operate more efficiently. But as they prepared for docking, Marcus found himself reluctant to say goodbye. The alien mother and child had become part of his crew's family, bringing light and wonder to the routine of hauling cargo between distant worlds. You could stay, he told Zara as they watched the docking procedure through the bridge viewports. We could use someone with your technical knowledge, and Kira seems to enjoy working with our systems. Zara smiled, the expression transforming her serious features. That is kind, but Kira needs to be around others like herself, on the station. She can learn from Kithara teachers who understand her gifts. She can be a child, not just a tool. As they disembarked, the station's diverse population gathered to welcome the newcomers. Marcus saw beings from dozens of species, all united by the common experience of seeking safety far from home. Children of various races played together in the corridors, their laughter echoing off the metal walls. Kira ran ahead to join a group of young beings her age, her natural curiosity overcoming any shyness. For the first time since Marcus had known her, she looked truly carefree. She will be happy here, Zara said, watching her daughter explore their new home. And so will I, but we will not forget what you did for us. Marcus nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and sadness. Take care of each other, and if you ever need anything, we know where to find you, Zara finished. The shipping lanes are smaller than they seem. As the Horizon prepared to depart, carrying a new cargo manifest and orders for the outer colonies, Marcus received an unexpected message from Sanctuary Station's administrator, Captain Webb. The message read, "Your actions in protecting the Kithara refugees have been noted throughout the humanitarian community. We have other situations that might benefit from a captain with your principles and your crew's capabilities. Would you be interested in occasionally carrying passengers who need protection rather than just cargo?" Marcus looked around his bridge, seeing the same expression on every face. They'd tasted something more meaningful than routine supply runs, and they wanted more. "Mr. Morrison," he said, "send a reply to Sanctuary Station. Tell them the user Eisen is available for humanitarian missions." As they departed the station, Marcus reflected on how the desperate refugees had changed not just their ship, but their purpose. They'd started as cargo haulers and had become something more, protectors of the innocent, guardians of hope in the vast darkness between stars. The universe was full of those who would exploit the vulnerable, but it was also full of people willing to stand against them. Sometimes all it took was one person willing to say, "Not on my watch," to change everything. Behind them, Sanctuary Station continued its slow rotation, a beacon of hope in the void. Somewhere within its corridors, a young Kithara girl was learning to be a child again, while her mother found the peace they'd both searched for across the galaxy. The Horizon jumped to hyperspace, carrying its crew toward their next mission. Whatever it might be, they were no longer just hauling cargo. They were carrying hope itself from one world to another, one rescue at a time.